Remember, it is Wednesday, December 27th, 2023, 7 p.m. I would like to call this regularly scheduled Town of Coeymans Planning Board, Zoning Board meeting to order. I just want to make one very quick announcement concerning the lead agency coordinated review package that MG Engineering mailed out. DEC has flexed its muscles, and we have a letter from the New York State Department of DEC dated December 22nd, 2023. In the letter, it is stated that the agency desires to be the lead agency for the Carver GE windmill project. This is a copy of this letter right here. I would like to make a motion to defer the lead agency status on this project to the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation. Can I have a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Mr. Collins. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the lead agency will now be taken over. The town of Coeymans will not be responsible for that by DEC. We will not make any motions. We will not pass anything. We will not vote on anything pertaining to the Carver application tonight.
Hi, good evening. My name is Nancy Warren. I'm a village resident, but tonight I'm here as a member of the village board. I have a letter, a quick letter I would just like to read into the minutes, which I will give to you. It is our second letter. The first letter we sent was prior to the last public hearing, which did not get read into the minutes. So we have sent a second letter, nor did we get a response. We asked that the Village of Ravenna be named an involved agency. Of course, this was after your vote tonight, working with the town of Coeymans to ensure the project is reviewed with the entire community's best interest in mind. With this letter, the Village of Ravenna is formally requesting to be named an involved agency. Our reasons are listed below. Number one is the water. The secret application indicates that Carver Company expects to utilize the Village of Ravenna water for this project. At this time, no formal application has been made to the Village of Ravenna by the town of Coeymans for this project. We may vote on a proposed district that the town has presently created. Parts of Carver Industries' existing operation are receiving village water without being in a formally recognized water district. So again, no vote has happened. We have not been applied to. So the slide presentation needs to be corrected. Sewer. The Village of Ravenna has a contract with the town of Coeymans for many decades for the joint operations of the Coeymans sewer plant. As the village is responsible for well over 50% of the sewer plant operating expenses, the expansion of the sewer district listed in the secret would have direct impact on the contract and the taxpayers of the Village of Ravenna. Traffic. The proposed project would bring, give or take, 800 vehicles daily to our local roads, not including truck traffic. This will increase traffic throughout the village and directly affect residents' commute to and from Albany and surrounding areas on 144, the primary avenue for commuters. Lastly, proximity. The proposed project is located less than 1/2 mile from the Village of Ravenna limits. Any noise, lights, etc. would have an effect on village residents. The Village of Ravenna Fire Department would also be responding as mutual aid with Coeymans Fire Department to any possible incidents on this site. Thank you very much. Respectfully, Mayor Bill Mizuraka and the Village Board of Trustees. As you can hear quite plainly, the village has not voted to provide water. We have not received a formal application, and in that letter, it does say the village will consider, absolutely consider an application. But I think the information that's been presented tonight is very misleading. It has not approved.
Hi, my name is Zachary Assel. I live on Fox Street in Stelter. So at the last meeting and at the beginning of this meeting, Carver and Friends put on an elaborate Golden Pony show, hoping to get this board's approval for an offshore wind manufacturing facility. As elaborate as it was, they failed to include any residents other than Mr. Bruno, who informed us that an access road will be necessary off of Bronx Road, and a young gentleman named, he said, called Mr. Z, who talked about getting his job at the port. This board's first responsibility is not to Carver's Industries, but to the residents of this community. And the residents are here to tell you that we don't want this project. We don't want 8,000 or more monthly vehicles going up and down our roads, River Road, in front of our houses, bringing noise pollution, air pollution, dirt, and the multiple number of accidents that are surely to occur. We don't want our residential zoned properties turned into industrial wasteland. We don't want our wetlands mitigated to other parts of the state. We don't want any more of our Hudson River's waterfront destroyed. What we want from you is for you to thank Carver for the presentation, but to tell them that we're not interested.
Good evening. These are materials for you. I'll distribute them after I've spoken. I'm Barbara Heinzen. I live on the boundary with New Baltimore and Coeymans. Most of my property is in Coeymans. I'm very affected by whatever happens with this proposal. First of all, I want to notice that there are wind power manufacturing alternatives in the Capital District. Coeymans is not the only choice. If you look at a 2020 map from NYSDEC, you will see that there's the Port of Albany, the Port of Coeymans, and the Port of East Greenbush. Coeymans is not the only place this can happen. Not only that, NYSDEC told the Coeymans resident that no port has yet been chosen for this wind power manufacturing. There's no evidence that GE is actually coming here, although there's been a lot of noise assuming they will be here. There is an article published in the Albany Business Review on the 21st of December, and when they're asked if GE would be involved with the Coeymans facility, they said, "Our focus is on continuing to work with our customers and other stakeholders to reach agreements that benefit all parties." They made no mention of working with the Port of Coeymans on a facility here. That was the 21st of December. The application is also incomplete. I think the two letters from Jenny Lippman from MJ Engineering, the first one had 28 unresolved issues. The second has 95 unresolved issues. This is a complex project in a very troublesome site with lots of changes in elevation. It does not need to be here. It is better left as it is. Finally, we have a very incomplete list of involved agencies. As Nancy Warner said, the Village of Ravenna has to be an involved agency. They're providing the water. What I want to know is, why was the City of Albany not also listed as an involved agency by Carver Companies? The water that goes to Ravenna comes from the alcove. Who owns the alcove? The City of Albany. They are an involved agency. Have they been consulted about this project? They should be. Secondly, the EPA, Region 2, should be an involved agency because in 2021, there's a consent decree between the EPA and Wholesome, dated August 17, 2021. It's in that packet there. And under that consent decree, there are some 20-odd water outfalls on the Wholesome property that need to be looked at for any possible pollution if there's a change of use on the site. So I suggest you look into that. And you'll also have to include the State Attorney General, Letitia James, who is also part of that consent decree. These are issues that you need to be considering. There's material in this pack about the consent decree, and I think you have to seriously consider what the City of Albany has to say about this. You're going very hastily, and I don't know why it is being rushed through with lack of any due diligence. Thank you.
Why do you think we're rushing? I don't understand. Why do you,
Why do I think you're rushing?
we're not voting.
No, but you are rushing it through.
We're not rushing anything. We're going through the whole process.
You keep
I don't
going.
understand what you're saying. What are we rushing?
You're rushing because you're not considering many aspects of this. And if the DEC had not become taken over as lead agency, you would have
What do you
voted.
mean if? Why do you say if?
I think it was very clear
They
that you
did
intended
take
to
over.
vote on this.
All what you said up there is all hearsay, and it's all going to be taken care of by DEC, which you have right on your tag right there, DEC. This is what you wanted, and this is what they got.
Positive declaration.
That means a positive declaration because we were expecting that you would want to become the lead
We
agency.
don't. We don't want anything to do with this. Are you kidding me? Why would we?
Well, then why have you been forcing the pace right through the Christmas
We
holiday?
haven't been forcing anything.
Who do you work for?
I would beg to differ. And I think you know my opinion. I think I'm backed up by a
I
number
work for
of
myself. I live in this town for 40 years.
And are people not allowed to speak their mind?
Yes, they are. I'm just answering her question, asking her a question.
Okay, but you seem
Why do I think you're being rushed?
We're not rushing anything.
Next.
Hey, good evening. My name is Kent Puglisi. I live on River Road in North Coeymans. And I'll come to every town board and zoning board, planning board about the traffic and truck traffic. But I want to talk about traffic and specifically the speed limit. So, I believe, before you made the announcement to start the meeting, I believe we had the state's attention on this project and also during the last meeting, Dan McCoy's, the county executive's letter was read for support of this project. So we obviously have the county's attention and we have the state's attention. Now that you've announced DEC as the lead agency, I would ask the planning and zoning board to ask DEC to work with DOT to lower the speed limit from the port on River Road to 396, Route 396 Maple Ave. And what I can say about that is town guy Jim asked George to get streetlights, and George asked National Grid, and a couple weeks later, we got streetlights. So it's proof that things can be done on the state-owned DOT-run street. So please, as the board, I understand you made the announcement you're not voting to approve or not approve, but someone has to ask DEC to get the speed limit changed. I want it to be 30, but that's probably never going to happen, so I would ask for 45. That's a nice compromise. We heard from the traffic study, the rate of speed normally is 60. Scrappers come all day long, dropping off the scrap metal, and stuff falls all over the side of the street, and it's dangerous. So I understand it's not a direct relationship of Carver trucks or this wind project, but the speed limit needs to get reduced from the port to Maple Ave 396. Partner with them, propose it, they'll get it done. Then secondly, based on tonight's updates for the traffic, if I understood it correctly, sometimes I'm not good with numbers, it sounds like we've already projected the traffic's gonna double. And the parking lot got added from 400 spots to 500 spots. I don't understand how there's 500 spots or cars that need to be parked in that facility. That's like more parking lot than anywhere in the county besides Cross Gates Mall. And then lastly, there was, I heard, you go over the traffic study and you went over the grades and said there doesn't need to be mitigation steps for like A's and B's, and you don't want your kids to come home with C's or D's. I couldn't come home from my parents. I can't say it, but I get beat up if I got under A's or B's. And I heard you say PM was a grade letter E. To me, that's failing. So there's a traffic problem. I'm counting on the board not to block anything, but let's use this as an opportunity to fix the traffic and speed limit problem between the port and Route 396 North Coeymans. And I would add to that, anywhere in New York State where there's, I'll finish right now, anywhere there's houses, there's streets to 30 miles an hour, just like in town. There's houses where I live and the speed limit's 55, people go 65, including the tractor trailers. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Jason Hutchinson. I live in River Road in Queens. I travel on Route 144 on a daily basis. And this 30-mile-an-hour business is not okay. There's a lot of people that travel that road to go back and forth to work, to go to Albany, to do their shopping. It goes right from Catskill, right from New Baltimore, right up through Albany. So lowering it down to 30 is just going to slow down a lot of traffic, especially on the weekends. So 55, I think, is fine. And I'd like to see if they could look into mitigating the traffic by maybe having buses instead of having 400 or 500 cars in. Maybe they could have a shuttle system so they don't need all these spaces. And that would really help reduce the traffic on that road. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Curtis Canham. I live in the town of Ravenna. And I apologize because I came late. I couldn't get in last time. I came late this evening and wasn't able to hear the whole traffic study. Was there a traffic study done on Main Street or 144 South? Because I saw the strips for the study, and I'm sorry. Was there an answer?
I can't respond. You have to speak to the board.
The board, was there a study done on Main Street?
No.
There was traffic study on Main Street.
No.
Was there a traffic study on 144 South?
No.
Could one say that a company could divert their traffic during a traffic study on Main Street in 144 South to impact the study?
Yes.
I would ask the board to have a study redone that included Main Street, 144 North, and 144 South.
Business agent Stan Konashevsky with the Teamsters. Thank you for allowing me to come speak. We may not agree on everything I say, but I appreciate you allowing me to come up here and speak. This is a great small town. I love the fact that the first thing we do is,
Comments.
I love the fact that you actually said the pledge and nobody had to stand up and tell you to say the pledge before we started. That's great. You know, one thing I gotta say is a lot of great Teamsters have come out of this community. And I know that for a fact. I've been a Teamster for over 20 years. I go to the retiree meetings. You know, we represent UPS, Cisco, but on top of doing the freight guys and everything else, we do construction. We have construction guys down at the port. We have guys working on these jobs. And the one thing I did want to bring to the community and the board to tell you is that this work's being done under a PLA, all right? I think that's great because, you know, there's going to be quality, there's going to be care. I'm not thinking that, everybody thinks there's negative all the time. Growth is a positive thing for a community, all right? In today's generation, the one thing that we do need is growth. We need these communities to survive, and anything that comes to these areas in such a way as green energy or anything, positive like that, I think we should embrace it, all right? There's going to be a lot of jobs that come out of this. There's going to be a lot of Teamster jobs, and you know what? A lot of families are going to get fed from this work, all right? So I'm not here to, for any other reason than to tell you that I do see the positivity in things, and sometimes change is hard for a community. Change is hard for a community, but we have to grow. We have to embrace, and we have to realize that our great-grandfathers, our grandfathers, a lot of them did union trade jobs, and that's how these communities started, So that's all I wanted to say, and I appreciate your time.
What was your name again?
Stan Konashevsky with the Teamsters.
How do you spell that?
Where do you live?
Where do I live? I live in the Adirondacks.
Oh, that's my thought. Not here.
Not here.
Okay.
My name is Matt Arman, and I live on Fox Street. Unlike this gentleman from the Adirondacks, I am right around the corner from this project. And growth is a great thing. But, I'll never forget that one night as I laid my 2-year-old daughter down to sleep in her room that was overlooking literally this project being done, that we can see through the trees. My wife, after I laid her down, sat next to my wife, and this question that's still with me right now is stuck in my mind. Are we going to be okay? Because, maybe this town will grow. Maybe we'll get more tax revenue. But is my daughter going to be able to grow in the way that we want her to? We moved here from Florida. We moved everything that we knew to come here
We wanted a quiet neighborhood. This is what we were promised. This is what we believed. Coming to our dream home of, a 120-year-old house that we, very modest living. That's what we always wanted. The other night, I heard all this noise coming from this lot behind us. I was like, hey, what is that? I've not heard this before. I mean, this is just the beginning of land clearing and stuff happening, and not all these trucks, 500 cars in a parking lot. Are you kidding me? I don't know. I brought a whole bunch of notes, and honestly, I don't really know what to say because there's genuine worries for me, my family. And it's hard for me to really know what to say. There's so much, even just from this meeting, not really knowing what to say. So much that I want to respond to. Are you kidding me? 500 spaces? I would like to point out that, the lady mentioned that property values increased in Malta over, I believe it was 12 years. Quick Google search would just show that that's not even close to the national average. So thank you for proving your point that, it's not going to benefit us, the people who live right next to it. People have our value of life and the risk of water contamination to our well or flooding to our already wet property. And let me just be clear that does happen. I can tell you from the places I've lived before,
Time's up,
that happens. This is not a good thing.
Anyone else?
Hello, my name is Jillian Hamilton. I grew up going to school here, and my parents live on Ruby Lane, where I reside. I just want to make sure that this presentation is public. Resources all listed out, not just on the Vimeo stream, so everyone else can also reflect and look back at this. I really don't have much to say other than I'm glad I'm continuing to get my graduate degree in economics, environmental economics, thanks to my teacher, Mr. Stott, when I was at Ravenna. Because in some of my college research, I have found that I studied big industrial sites. Some of those towns did not thrive because of external factors. And I'd be happy to, bring those back up. I'm not against industry. Again, I study economics. We want to grow. Everyone wants more money. Understood. The value of life living is also a priority, and we can't grow without that. It's kind of the foundation of why we're here. So, thank you.
Mike Stott, 42 Fox Street. Just a few questions. I did like in the presentation how you mentioned Mr. Powell's land will now be the buffer and it's deeded now, that it cannot be used for anything further. But I think a big contention from a lot of community members is on the other side of Bronx Road, the 54 acres that was cleared by Carver Laraway. And again, he says it could be a homestead, and I hope it is a homestead. But right now, it's just 54 acres of cleared land. So you can imagine how it gives some people some trepidation over it's nothing's used for it yet. What's going to happen if this gets passed with that cleared land? Is it going to be part of the project? There's been no answers. So I think it'd be a great thing for Mr. Laraway to somehow ensure the public that 54 acres of private land is going to be somehow used as also a buffer legally and not just hearsay. Secondly, we got this big grant for the town of Coeymans, or the port got a big grant for a new electrical upgrade. I'm just curious, where is that going to go? I haven't heard about that at all. I assume it's going to be a large project, and God knows what it entails, but where's that going to go? Also, traffic. We have this application, but we also have the port right now building their part of the wind turbine project. So we cannot look at these necessarily as individual aspects. These are holistically viewed, and the traffic from one is going to add to the traffic of the other, and so on and so forth. So let's take this as a holistic approach. And lastly, On the presentation before, it said from the comprehensive plan, they pulled one part from the comp plan, but they left out the other half. I just want to make sure I read the other half so it's conclusive. They said in their part, they said, a significant opportunity in the town is the growth and expansion of industry along the riverfront and along Route 144. The growth of the Port of Coeymans, the Coeymans Industrial Park, Lafarge, North America, and the development of additional industrial parks along New York State Route 144 create numerous opportunities, employment, and support for the local economy and school system. And they stopped it there, but just the rest of the paragraph states, while this growth provides many opportunities to the community, it comes with challenges, including the balance of residential, commercial, and industrial growth and protecting the health and safety of residences and the environment. The environmental impacts of industrial growth should be considered to ensure the best quality of life for all members of the community. To ensure this balance, industrial growth should be directed to existing industrial areas and maintain a substantial buffer from residential areas and maintain the character of existing neighborhoods. So that was the other half of that. I just think it's important to get the whole story. But again, I appreciate you answering some of our questions, and I think we do have more questions. So hopefully we can work together to try to solve this and figure out a correct answer.
Good evening. My name is Sarah Postma. Normally I like to come with some kind of prepared statements, and I don't have that tonight, so I'll try to be succinct. I want to echo Curtis's comments on the traffic study. I'm really interested on when the traffic study was done. Is that something that you can tell us tonight, or do we have to foil that? So I'll foil that.
Yeah.
Just to go on record, I have records of my own about absolutely high levels of traffic through Main Street of truck traffic in November. So I do believe that traffic study was tampered with. Do you have?
According to this copy I have here, the traffic study, this was dated November 30th, 2023.
Okay.
I assume it was around that time.
Okay, but we don't have a date for like when it was conducted?
Final update was updated April 13th, 2022.
Okay, thank you. The other thing that I want to mention is the traffic is a huge concern. Residential quality of life is of huge concern. But I actually kind of want to bring it down to like some really simple, really small things that actually matter that nobody's talking about. And if we think about the quality of life, we all have families of some sort or another. If we can talk about E.O. Wilson, he's a biologist, and he studied insects and wildlife and ecology. He says all the little things that run the world, and it's insects. And without insects, there's basically collapse of the world. It's a bit dramatic, but it's actually true. And I woke up at 3 o'clock this morning thinking about light pollution. Like, how random is that, right? And it seems like kind of a small, frivolous thing, but it's not. Light pollution, one of the main things that it does for the ecology and the wildlife is it exhausts your nighttime animals, and it confuses them. So let's take moths, for instance. They are pollinators. They are also food for bats. This site has 2 endangered bats on it. So if we're confusing and dislocating our moths, and also, just for note, that affects their breeding. So then we don't have the numbers of moths that the bats need to eat. So we're seeing a decline here, and this is just more industrial creep, and this is one of the concerns that I have, along with residential quality of life. Thank you. And there's plenty more cookies.